is a term being used instead of as-mass. Now, let's see what's as-mass and what's the difference between as-mass and bearing. As-mass is a horizontal angle between a horizontal line AB and north. So a horizontal angle between line AB and north. Now, there are some differences between as-mass and bearing, because bearing is also pretty much the same but with some differences. For as-mass, our reference axis is north all the time. So our base or reference for the angle is north for the as-mass. But for bearing, it could be north or south. So it could be north for the bearing or south. Now, as-mass is all the time a clockwise angle. So it's going to be all the time clockwise. But for bearing, it could be clockwise or counterclockwise. So bearing could be also counterclockwise. As-mass all the time clockwise. For as-mass, it starts from north and goes back all the way to north. Therefore, it could change between 0 and 360 degrees, because a full revolution in a circle is 360 degrees. But for bearing, it's limited between 0 and 90 degrees. So bearing is all the time being an acute angle between 0 and 90 degrees, because bearing is going to fall within these quadrants, which is each quadrant we know that is 90-degree maximum. Therefore, bearing is going to be between 0 to 90 degree. And the last difference between the two are, in order to show as-mass, we just use the angle and show it. I'm going to use in this tutorial just 30 degree to show for most of the angles that I will show as example. So 30 degree as as-mass. But for bearing, we will use two letters also. One will come in the front or in the beginning, which is the reference axis. So it's going to be north if our reference is north, or it's going to be south if our reference is south. Then the magnitude of the angle, for example 30 degree, and the direction that the angle is rotating. If it's the first quadrant, it's going to be north 30 east, or it could be south 30, just as example, west. Now I'm going to move this drawing up because I have some drawings over there and I want to explain using those drawings how we can convert bearing and as-mass to each other, or how we can calculate bearing from as-mass. Now, I pretty much explained the first quadrant or northeast quadrant. For northeast quadrant, as-mass and bearing are equal, like it's shown on the top left drawing. As-mass and bearing are equal, but we have to use, or we have to show them properly. Therefore, if the angle is, for example, 30 degree, for as-mass we will say that it's 30 degree, but for bearing we will say it's north 30 degree east. North 30 degree east. Now, for second quadrant or southeast quadrant, in order to calculate bearing, we can use as-mass, and by subtracting as-mass from 180 degree, we can find bearing. In this sketch here, I have shown it. Look, this is our as mass. If we subtract this as mass from 180 degrees, so this is 180 degree, so you subtract this yellow line from this 180, what you will get clearly is the one that we are looking for, and that's our bearing. That's our bearing. So if I write it, bearing is like it's shown in the below circle. Bearing is 180 minus as mass. Let's say as mass is 120 degree, just one example. So bearing therefore is going to be 180 minus 120, and that's going to be 60 degree. I said I will use 30, but by chance this one is 60. That's fine. But we have to show it again properly. So our as mass is 120 degree. We don't need any letters. But our bearing is south 60 east. South 60 degree east. Let's go to the third quadrant, which is southwest. For southwest, the equation in order to calculate bearing is as mass minus 180. Again, if I just very quickly show you guys in here, you can see that this is our as mass. Now, if you subtract 180 from it, what is remaining is this small angle that we are looking for, and that's our bearing. So as mass minus 180 in here. So bearing is going to be as mass minus 180 degree. Let's again put some numbers in here. Let's say as mass is this time 210 degree. Now to show as mass, again, we just use 210 degree. That's it. We don't need any extra work or word. But for bearing, it's going to be 210 minus 180. Therefore, it is 30 degree. We have to show it properly. It's going to be south 30 degree west. That's for third quadrant. And for the last quadrant, or northwest quadrant, in order to calculate bearing, you have to subtract as mass from 360 degree. Again, this is our as mass. As mass goes from 0 to 360 degree. But we are looking for this angle because bearing is between 0 and 90 degrees. Sorry, 0 and 90 degree is bearing. Again, in order to show as mass, let's say I just put some numbers over here. Let's say as mass is 320 degree. Bearing is going to be 360 minus 320. That's going to be 40 degree. And to show it, we will use north 40 degree and